You are tuned in to the Real Estate Agent Man podcast, coming to you from Sarasota County, Florida. Our special guests today are first-time home buyers, Jordan and Alicia Gray. Yes, it's true. They are the Grays in a black and white world.
Listen, I'm meant for podcasts. I'm meant for the stage, period. So let's go.
Okay, she's ready. I'm sitting here with two of the youngest first-time home buyers that we've had the privilege of helping into a home. Jordan and Alicia, how does it feel to be the very first guests on the Real Estate Agent Man podcast?
It feels really exciting.
It's great. Thanks, Steve.
Oh, you're welcome. Good answers, good answers. So did you enjoy the pizza tonight?
It was great. And I had salad and 2 cookies.
10 out of 10 would eat again.
And where did the pizza come from?
Italiano.
We're going to do a plug for them since they are a small business.
And it's probably the best pizza you can get.
It probably is. There you go. And they're putting up a Little Caesars like right next to it. So my plans for the future is to tell people, okay, go to Little Caesars at Tamami Trail and Jacaranda, look to the left and walk in that door.
I like it. Great direction.
There you go. So tell me, how does it feel to be homeowners?
It's really exciting, and at first it was a little scary because there's a lot of projects, but once you get in there, it's fun to look forward to the weekends where you can do the projects.
Jordan?
I'll tell you what, it's been great, Steve. It's just been really cool to just launch into this new part of our lives, and you don't realize all the things you need until you get a house. Didn't realize ladders cost so much.
Yeah, we were at, where were we? Lowe's. A 2-step ladder was, I think, $60.
They're going for about $35 a step these days.
So do you miss renting or living with family members?
God, no. Never.
I would say absolutely not. Nothing beats having your own space.
Yeah.
That's how we feel about it.
And now I don't have to worry about where I'm going next year, so I don't have to pack and look for places, which is great.
Right. That's what happens when you rent. You have no idea if you're going to be able to stay in the same place.
Or if you need to find a random roommate on Facebook that has a rabbit that's evil and growls at you. You never know.
This sounds like a personal experience. So I'm going to move on to the other question I had here. Are you having fun making the house your own?
Well, absolutely, Steve. We're having a great time doing that. Me personally, I'm a gearhead. I've got my garage set up now, new lighting, got my tools involved. It's, like I said, you just can't beat having your own space to make your own.
We're trying to do room by room because it gets a little overwhelming sometimes. We got the living room done and our home theater in our bedroom, which is nice.
Have you been getting a lot of company?
I had a girls' night and we played games. So that was fun.
What were you doing during that girls' night, Jordan?
I was probably in my boat that I can finally park in my own yard now.
Bonus.
Yeah.
Bonus. Well, in order to help our listeners learn from your experiences, we need to understand your journey a little bit. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when we first met, you two were engaged. Tell us about where you were living and what your plans were for after your wedding regarding where you were going to live.
You want to start?
Well, I lived with a friend of mine. Just rented a tiny room in a house. Wasn't much my own. Had to ask to borrow to use the kitchen.
Sounds exciting.
No.
Oh, I was living with the Facebook friend. Yeah, I was living with her. She was a really nice lady, but I definitely felt trapped in my room. And then my plans were to get married. I wanted to move out before we got married because I just wanted my own space. But that didn't happen because, my mom would kill me and so would his.
So you chose life.
I chose life. I did. I chose life.
Okay.
We didn't really have a solid plan, but my sister bought a house with Steve and Katrina, and then that's when we got to move in with them.
Yes, I do remember that. But this is something else I remember.
Okay.
When I was showing your sister and Tyler houses. There was this one day that you two came along, and we ended
remember
up,
that
it was a
too.
vacant house, and we ended up just sitting down on the floor and just talking for a while. And you guys were talking about the fact you were going to get married. And at that time, it was my impression that you thought that as soon as you guys got married, you could buy a house.
Yeah.
So how did you come to the realization that you weren't actually ready to do that?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Because
It
you
all
had
comes
dreams.
down to dollars and cents, Steve.
Well, I definitely gotta say I was a little bit more the pushy one. Let's just go do it. But then Jordan put a little voice in my head like, we don't have the money right now, so we should probably really plan it out because it's a big purchase. And thank God he did, because I would have learned the hard way.
You got to be prepared. That's all.
Yeah. If you can remember back this far, what did you think when I told you that I could possibly put you into a house with less than $2,000 using a USDA mortgage and my negotiating skills? Did you think I was crazy because nobody can buy a house for $2,000? Or did you actually, like right from the beginning, think, wow, this is great? I mean, where were you in that?
Well, I definitely thought, wow, that's great. But I don't know if I believed you necessarily.
I would say I was more excited than anything, and just, obviously when you see the confidence that you work with, it didn't make it too hard to understand, and, I learned pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Well, and I understand that people in general don't believe they could possibly buy a house with like $2,000 out of pocket. I'm wondering, did you guys ever do the math at the end and figure out exactly what your out-of-pocket costs were on this purchase you just made?
Negative $2,000.
It was about $1,700.
Just kidding. It was about $1,700.
So,
I didn't do the math, clearly.
okay. So in this relationship, the math goes to Jordan, is that?
Yeah, I would say so.
We just had the basic stuff, surveys, appraisals, those kind of things really became all that was out of pocket.
And so that was the $1,700 you're talking about.
Correct.
Right. So for the person listening who's like, oh, this sounds like a late night infomercial for selling houses. Not everybody qualifies for this type of mortgage, the USDA. But many people do. I've been able to put several people into these homes and legitimately less than $2,000. Now, it's not just the USDA. There is still the closing costs that you have to deal with. And so I have to negotiate that into the deal in order to make that happen, and not everybody's willing to do that.
Yeah.
Right, that was definitely a major hinge on our deal, and it was something that made it possible. Don't get me wrong, we saved up, we try to be prepared, but that small detail made it so possible for this to happen. There wasn't any question. We weren't worried about numbers. When Steve was able to negotiate that in for us, it made it possible with lots of wiggle room. We had money to spare. It just wasn't much to worry about at that point. That's all I can say.
And even if you do have thousands left in the bank afterwards, that's not a bad thing, right?
That's a fantastic thing.
That gets you prepared for when you have the bills coming in.
Yeah, and maybe you move in and you find out that there was something wrong with the house that you didn't know about.
Yeah.
Like for us, when we bought the house that we're in right now, we weren't in here a month, and all of a sudden the shower is leaking into the closet.
Yeah.
Okay, we didn't expect that, and stuff. And if that can happen to a realtor, it can happen to anybody.
Right. If you can keep that money in your pocket, it really just leaves you more prepared. And you can go to sleep at night and not worry too much about the next day.
I feel like this is going well. How about you?
I do too, yeah.
Okay. Oh, here's one for Alicia. Alicia, in the review you gave us on Google, you said, quote, I'm quoting you, buying a house is scary, and honestly, the only way to really know what you're doing is to buy a ton of houses or just work with Katrina and Steve. Now, I love that for several reasons. One is because acknowledging that buying a house is scary is important.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is. It's a big purchase.
Well, and it's, you can read all kinds of articles about the top stressors in life, and buying or selling a house is in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we definitely have to agree with you, Steve. I mean, I eat nails for breakfast, and I was very scared.
What kind of nails? Are they sugar coated or just? Raw nails.
The gummy ones.
Oh, gummy nails. Nice. So can you kind of tell the listening audience what some of the scary things are, or just why you feel like it's a scary process?
Well, I think the scary part about it is there's so many things that you have to have aligned, and there's a lot of people within buying a house. So if you don't know what you're doing and you don't have somebody knowing what they're doing, it can get very tangled and very messy. But if you have somebody who knows who to call, when to call, where to call, it puts it together, like the manager. He's in charge. He knows who to talk to.
Like I'm the project manager of house buying.
Yes.
Take a guess at what the average age of a first-time home buyer is.
Ooh.
In fact, think of your numbers separately.
Okay.
And then I'm going to just want you to be honest and tell me. We'll go ladies first. And don't change your answer, Jordan. Okay? So, Alicia, what do you think? First-time home buyers, what is the average age for that?
35.
Okay.
I was sticking with 32.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And could you read my screen, Jordan? Because it's 32.
No, I can't see that far.
It is 32. So I looked up in the National Association.
Close.
Yeah, the National Association of Realtors for 2018, anyway, said that the average age of first-time homebuyers was 32.
Okay.
So you two are like way below average or above average? How would you word that? Before average. You're way before average.
Winning.
So, Alicia, how old are you?
I am 22.
And Jordan?
I'm 26.
Okay, so you are the
old man.
Yeah, you're the old one in the bunch. But that's good. Yeah, Katrina and I are 4 years apart. And, you know, when you were 16 and she was 12, that was kind of creepy. But it works for you guys now.
Now it does, yeah.
So, so you guys, you really beat the odds.
Yeah.
You know? And so that means, you know, especially you, Alicia, being 22, it's 10 years before average. So you have this next 10 years that you are not going to be throwing money away renting. You are investing in Florida real estate, even though it's your home. You are making an investment that should pay off extremely well for you as long as you do the right things to your house and you stay there long enough to recoup those costs.
You mean I shouldn't paint my house like a bright pink or do like camouflage?
Well, okay, let's talk about that. If you were to paint the front of your house some very, very unique color that most other people wouldn't want, it could hinder what your neighbor's houses sell for because they don't want to live next to you.
That's true.
Okay, that does hurt your future sale price. So you just hit on another topic that I wasn't even planning on going with in this conversation, but it's a very good one. The most important thing that a new homeowner can do for their own investment is not worry about the inside right away, but to make sure the outside looks good.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Every single house that sells in your neighborhood is going to be based on what new people looking at buying in your neighborhood think of your neighborhood.
Yeah.
So the better your neighborhood looks, which is why I went over there and edged your overgrown lawn the day after you bought your house. You're welcome. Okay. It is very important for your future sale because they call them comparables or comps. The comps build off each other month after month after year after year after decade. So you want to keep that in mind, although you don't have control over what your neighbors do. If you happen to have neighbors that kind of let their place go, you don't have any control over that. But you keep yours up the best that you can. It doesn't have to be amazing and have gold-plated sidewalks. It just has to be neat and clean and cute. And the more that you can stay consistent with that over time, besides the fact that you're doing your job at your house, you're inspiring your neighbors.
Yeah. And I'm keeping my plants alive, which is a new thing for me.
We're proud of you. We're proud of you.
Thank you.
Keep those plants alive. That's awesome. Yeah, so take that away from this conversation is the most recent thing you've learned from me about keeping up the value of your house. It's always more important for the value of your house to have the outside looking right as opposed to the inside. The inside can be a mess until the day you sell it.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people actually don't even get their house completely in order until they're ready to sell it. But you guys aren't doing that, obviously. You're doing work both inside and out, and your house is really coming along nicely. And to follow the amazing Candace Owens formula for ending a podcast, I will give you 2 minutes to tell the listening audience anything you would like to share with them about buying or owning a home.
As a first-time home buyer, I think one of the main things I would say is to be patient but be persistent. Patience is important. You want to make sure that, like Alicia said, that you're picky. You want to make sure that the house you're looking at is a house you could live in for a long time. It's a big investment. It's not a small amount of money. I mean, it's a large life choice. But the main thing to remember is, don't jump into anything. Don't, just take what might fit the bill. But wait, be patient, find what you're looking for. But also, don't wait forever. Where we live in today, there's a lot of options and outlets out there for first-time home buyers. Different types of loans, different allowances, different things that have been made available to people like ourselves to get out there and just get a piece of Florida real estate. I think one of the main things Steve has told me that made a lot of sense was, you just got to get out there and get in the game. Sometimes it might feel like you might be saving for 10 years before you'll ever have that money you need for that down payment. But that doesn't mean you can't start looking into different outlets, find out different opportunities that are available to make something happen. So that's about it. Just don't be nervous or scared that it's not possible. Explore your options because they're out there.
That is excellent. Yeah. And so I'm going to ask this question because you actually inspired me in this.
Sure.
As you're doing all that, where on that process should you start building a relationship with the realtor?
I would say start early, whether you think you're totally ready or not. They'll be able to tell you. There's questions to be asked, and, sometimes you do need to wait and be patient and find that, those extra steps you need to take, get everything in line. But, sometimes you're ready before you even know it.
And I think that's where it was with you. You were actually more ready than you knew. Well, thank you, guys. I really appreciate you sitting here today and having this conversation with me.
You're welcome. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks for your time, Steve, and thanks for helping us buy our new home.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you. Good night.
Peace out.
Real estate agent man. Real estate agent man. Write down his cell phone number and do not forget his name. 941-894-9800. SteveMartinSmith.com. Steve Martin Smith is a licensed Florida realtor with Remax Platinum Realty and Steve Martin Homes Group.